don't know if it's going to be more interesting, but I have COVID. You have strep throat.
Yeah.
So we're kind of stuck at home.
Don't worry, we're still kind of social distancing.
Yeah. And, I feel like we've had symptoms for a while. So I feel like I'm not sure what we can give each other at this point that we don't already have. But we're still being kind of careful. And since we are home, why not Apollo?
Why not?
Why not? All right, let's do this. Woohoo! Okay, here we go. Well, this is it. Today's the day it all goes down. And then there was yesterday. This meeting is over, sorry. Just give us 5 more minutes. We can call them back before that. Sorry, no go. Come on, piano boy. We're leaving. Darian, wait. I never liked you, either of you. Huh? Hey, Apollo. He didn't want us to hear what Maki had to say. And I think I know why. Time to bring down a little checklist.
Uh-oh.
Yee. What was that? He is her Valentin Marie, I exclaimed as he walked in through the door, normally. You aren't the witness today, are you, Uncle Valent? Ah ha 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 ha. A preposterous proposition. How could I stand to stand upon the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for her for the plucking. I might even have to sign autographs. This is why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day. Ooh, with vanishing magic? Indeed. I will jump upon an express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning. Warning, what? A Grand Grimoire glamour resides at the root of all that has happened. Do not forget this truth. A glamour? A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Miss Trucy, though it pains me to part so, I need to get in line for a ticket. Farewell. And there he goes.
What was the bang? Not a gunshot, I'm assuming.
No, just his amazing entrance. He sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. The big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. Usually it involves cutting up things like people or elephants or the Eiffel Tower, anything really. So he was talking about what we saw at the concert, Lemir's disappearing act, and Prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by it being at the root of all that has happened. Well, it's about time, shall we go? Ah, excuse me, sir. Yes? The scheduled starting time for the trial has been changed. The trial will not be commencing until 10:30 a.m. Sorry for the inconvenience. Huh, did something happen? This is a first. It was by the judge's request, some urgent personal business. Great, I bet he stayed up too late last night watching courtroom dramas. Apparently he's visiting the hospital again. The hospital? I believe it was mentioned that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently his condition worsened considerably this morning. The Chief Justice's son. Oh, that's right. Remember yesterday morning, the judge said he had to go visit him after the trial? There's an article about it in the newspaper. If you care to read about it yourself.
Oh, he's inflicted with incuritis.
Yeah. Incuritis? Where have I heard that before? Looking at the incuritis syndrome, first case in the country. Strikes, that article seemed like a COVID article. I'll let you read that article for us, Apollo. Yeah, disease strike closer to home than ever before. Whew. Just leave the TV guide page to me. Try not to lose the page with the funnies if you can. My apologies. Court is now in session for the trial of, how do you say this name again? Maki Tobaye, our suspect fortissimo. Right. It's his trial in any case. The defense is prepared, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready to rock. Is something wrong, Your Honor? No, well, yes. It's just I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. It pains me to see him going through such a difficult time. Ancuritis, was it? That article said there is no known cure. Herr Judge, let me say with all honesty I feel your pain, but now is not the time for tears. Now is the time for law. Indeed. We left off at quite the juncture yesterday. We've gone through this. She identified his voice, but Romaine Lettuce is from Interpol. Quite a sensational ending. Who would have thought Darian would guest star in the season cliffhanger as a suspect? I asked the prosecution to look into this matter. Please tell the court your findings. Darian Christian is a member of my band, the Gaviners. He is also a detective, making the current charges serious indeed. Yet after investigation, I have found no cause to alter our case or file new charges. And your reason is? Weren't you aware, Air Forehead? He has an impeccable alibi. An alibi? Let us review the facts again, shall we? The concert held on the night of the shooting was in 3 sets. The Gaviners ripped up the stage during the first set. For the second set, our guests took center stage. The only performers appearing were myself, Lemire, and Maki, along with a drummer and bassist for a total of 5. The shooting in the dressing room, however, took place during the 3rd set. Lemire and the defendant Maki Tobaye had left the stage at that point, and the Gaviners were already rocking. That's when 2 shots rang out at the scene of the crime. Shots heard by Detective Emma Skye, mind you. And Apollo. You heard them too, right? I sure did. Furthermore, Lemire herself witnessed the moment of the crime. Well, perhaps I should say she heard the moment of the crime. When she claims to have heard Mr. Lettuce and Detective Crescent talking. But that's impossible. Detective Crescent was... Precisely. Detective Crescent was on stage getting his groove on, no less. Voila. A perfect alibi. Does the defense have anything to add to this? It's true, when I heard those gunshots, he must have been on stage. Still, there's something here that doesn't quite add up. It appears the defense has no objections. I believe we can safely say that Darlene Crescent's alibi has been acknowledged, which means that Lemire was sadly mistaken. Her testimony cannot be true. Very well. Of course, if we disregard her testimony, then I see no evidence keeping us from declaring a verdict. If indeed there are no objections. Uh-oh, Apollo, if he declares a verdict now... but Prosecutor Gavin's case is airtight. Lemire might have been lying to protect Maki. How can I rely on her testimony? Wait, what about yesterday in the detention center? About the case? What about the case? He wants to tell us about Mr. Lettuce's death. This meeting's over. Maki was trying to tell us something, I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him under oath. Very well, the court finds the defendant, what was his name again? Your Honor. No, that wasn't it. It was something like Marquis or Mr. Justice. Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I would like to call another witness. Exactly who else do you need to hear from? A witness who, until now, has not been given a chance to speak in this court. Because he doesn't speak English. You know, I do. The defense calls defendant Maki Tobaye to the stand. What? But he doesn't speak English. We'll use an interpreter. Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases such as I love you and where's the toilet. The defense would like to request Lemire as the interpreter. Lemire? But there's a possibility she's protecting the defendant. But she'd be interpreting for the defendant. Why would she lie? This is most unusual. Ah ha ha, bravo, Air Forehead. Herr Judge, the prosecution agrees with the defense's request. If Lemire lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that. Well, if both prosecution and defense are for this, I see little cause for refusal. Finally, some progress. Bailiff, please show the defendant and Lemire to the witness stand. I suppose there was a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with? If you would, Lemire. Yes. He says Maki Tobai, the defendant. This is certainly a first for this courtroom. Not that we really needed an interpretation of that message in particular. So far, so good. Very well, Mr. Justice, if you would. Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have him testify about? What do I want him to testify about? Heck, I hadn't thought that far yet! Apollo? Aren't you going to ask him what he was about to tell us yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he was saying? Excuse me a moment, if I might speak. Yes, Lemire. Just now, Maki said there is something about which he wishes to testify. Maki wants to testify about something. What could it be? What sort of testimony is he talking about? One moment, please. The suspense is killing me. What? 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 Well, Lemire? According to Maki, he has proof of his innocence. What? This is a surprise. Yahoo! Victory, Apollo! We did it! This is sounding too good to believe, and I know what that usually means. Well, if that's true, then this is vital testimony. Maki, please testify to the court. Very well. He says that word of Mr. Lettuce's death came as a great shock. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song, that is, he could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them. I see. He wouldn't have understood the English lyrics to the song. That would prevent him from following them so closely. I wondered what he meant by proof. Why, he would only have to ask Lemire to know the meaning of that song. Lemire, did you ever explain the lyrics of that song to him? I did tell him generally what the song was about, but never in so much detail, and he never asked. Has my oft-repeated warning already fled that forehead? Lemire might be protecting the witness. Well, anyway, let us proceed with the cross-examination. Mr. Justice, if you would. Yes, Your Honor. Something's hidden in that testimony, I know it. I'll just have to trust my bracelet to tell me where. It worked yesterday, it'll work today. So, I see the bracelet hovering. I wonder if it's this one. Because you were thinking he might understand English.
Yeah.
So let us perceive.
Because how else could Darian talk to him? His eyes open, and they're not open before?
They were open before. See? Oh, wait!
Yeah, they're moving to the side.
Yes! Okay.
Gotcha!
Maki, you can't fool my eyes. He glanced toward her the very moment Lemire said the word English. Why? And don't bother interpreting that, he understands me. Maki, tell the truth. You can understand English, can't you? What are you saying? Of course he can't. Must he continue this charade? Mr. Justice, Maki says this. I know the word English. Huh? Before coming to this country, he heard me speaking English. He heard the name of this language, that is all. What? Give me a break. Is that such an unusual word to understand? Do you not know Espanol, for instance? Well, yeah, but... I'm sorry, but he truly does not understand your language. Well, then explain this. How does he know the crime followed the lyrics? Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? It is simple, so simple it hardly requires an explanation. He read about it in a newspaper. Newspaper? The Burgundian Daily Bugle. You can buy it in this country these days, you know. They have already begun to report about this case in our homeland. I was right. What is wrong, Mr. Justice? Your eyes, they are quite fierce all of a sudden. Maki is lying. Maybe it's time to show them proof that he's lying.
Do we have a copy of the paper from,
I think we do. Article about the case doesn't mention the lyrics of Lemira's ballad. Yep. I have here a Burgundian newspaper, the Burgundian Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature article about the case. Could you read this for me, Maki? That's right, it doesn't mention the lyrics. What? What is this all about? I'm sorry, Maki. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in a Burgundian newspaper. What does this mean? But I don't see how it's possible. Ah, I know. He must have heard the lyrics when the police were doing their questioning. Yes. Not possible. The subject of the lyrics was not brought up in police questioning. I read the full report myself. So the lyrics weren't in the newspaper and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in this courtroom. In English, no less. The witness will explain himself. Maki says, yes, it is true I read the newspaper, but this is not where I learned of the lyrics. I was mistaken. Now I remember. You remember. He says he heard of the lyrics from me. What? Is this true, Lemire? Yes, I'm afraid I had forgotten it myself. Then it looks like Air 4-Head's been jumping to conclusions again. It seems so, yes. No, I was onto something, I know it. I can't let this chance slip away. Time is an issue today, Mr. Justice. Are you finished with the cross-examination? What are you gonna do, Apollo? If I'm going to keep on cross-examining, I better have an angle of attack. Or else. My bracelet's still reacting. Your Honor, please allow me to continue. If you must, you must. Very well. Witness? I understand. It was I who explained that the crime followed the song. Okay. Now I don't know which one. Might be her?
I don't know. Check her out. Wasn't she a swallower?
She was. Although I don't know if they'd have the same one. Oh, wait. I think I saw it at the beginning. Yep. There it is. Lemire? I'm currently cross-examining Maki. Why should you be uncertain? Me? Uncertain? Yes, you swallowed the very moment you told the court. It was I who explained. I see there is little point in trying to hide anything from you. Lemire, are you indeed protecting someone? That is not a question with a simple answer. To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself. Then allow me to answer for you. Lemire, you're protecting... I'm assuming Maki. Lemire, you're protecting Maki. That's why you lied and told us that you had explained how the crime followed the song. I don't fault you for trying to help, but Maki, I believe you didn't do it, really. I trust you, but you've lied to us twice, and now you have Lemire lying on your behalf. If this is going to work, you have to trust me, too. Your two lies cover a simple truth. You understand English. You have to. Witness, is this true? Do you understand English? Yes, a little only. What? First he could see, now he can talk? And you did not know about this, Lemire. I know, I did not. It is quite a surprise. How many secrets is this witness hiding? Last. This is last. Maki, could you tell us what really happened? No shooting. I did no shooting. So you weren't in the dressing room when I heard those 2 gunshots, correct? Apparently the answer to that question isn't simple either. I was in the dressing room behind desk, manager he on floor. Which would be after the shooting, right? Then there was voice. Voice or voices? Was you and Emma Apollo? So when Maki went into the dressing room, Mr. Lettuce had already been shot, and then he came to the door. Panel high up, I take off, run away, run away. So it was you who escaped through the air vent. As the prosecution has upheld all along, no less. The defendant has admitted to being at the scene. Might we take this as a confession? No, he's clearly denied that he did it. I know shooting, manager on floor, already on floor. The victim had already been shot, you say? I find that hard to believe. The defendant understood the song lyrics, he was at the scene of the crime. This can only mean one thing, he is the shooter. Does the defendant have anything to say to this? He's clammed up, Apollo. Then let's ask Mr. Justice, will you require any further testimony from the witness? Is that it? Is there nothing else I can get him to testify about? Wait, no, of course there is. What is this cocoon, anyway? The cocoon, the silk, is a potent cure. A cure? Well, Maki, are you a smuggler? He won't tell me. That cocoon has to have something to do with this. Maki, please tell us the truth for your own sake. No, no more speak. Not to any of you. So much for your precious trust, Air Forehead. Hey, you were the one who didn't believe him. Regardless, this brings us to an impasse. It does seem the defense and the defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything more of value should this continue. I see no other course but to declare a 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant so that we might proceed. Apollo Eustace. Oh, okay. That's justice. Better learn how to say it if you ever want to get some. Believe me, I know shooting. Maki claims Mr. Lettuce was already down on the ground when he entered the room. Maybe it was a trap and he walked right into it. Suddenly I hear a revolver. Close, very close. Then I hear a voice. You heard gunshots? Yes, it's true, I hear revolver, but only sound. Wait, you're saying you went into the dressing room and found Mr. Lettuce already dead, and then you heard shots? If that's true, so you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those shots, and you escaped through the air vent. I know. What do you know? I know if I opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage. So the vents went to both the stage and the backstage area. Is that what he means? Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo. Yeah. But how did you know it was connected like that? Well, I bet his father was the architect that designed the hall or something. I hear this from Magician. Magician? Don't look at me. A magician, huh? Well, at least we're clear on one thing. Maki didn't shoot Mr. Lettuce. Yeah, but what does that leave us with? We're supposed to say he went into the room to find the body and then he heard the shots? That one's going to go over well in court. Not. Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe whatever he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me. I'll just pretend you misheard him, every time. So, what do we do? You're sure you won't testify, Maki? I know talking, no. Well, it was worth a shot. That cocoon. Can't go home. Can't go home. I can't go home to Borginia. I do not want to go home. The penalty for taking a cocoon from Borginia is death. That's right, it's punishable by death. Of course he's scared. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to try a different approach. That's the spirit, Apollo.
I'm still listening.
Yeah. So what's your plan? If Maki won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to testify. Someone else? I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there. Right. Sipping some of this tea. Tea's been very good for my COVID. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant? Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk. Very well. So will he testify? Your Honor, the defendant will not testify. What? Shame, and here I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle, Your Honor. A different angle? If Maki won't testify, then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine the witness in this case, Lemire. Lemire? What are you up to now? I thought we determined yesterday that Lemire's testimony was insubstantial. There's nothing you can... Lemire was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries. What happened? She was assaulted, Your Honor. Assaulted? Someone wanted Lemire dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself. What? I've heard no such report. Prosecutor Gavin, why would anyone be out to kill Lemire? Can you think of a reason? Well, think of how she is known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes? Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could that have been? You don't think... I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Lettuce. The killer was afraid of her, afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in her testimony yesterday. Something that the killer doesn't want getting out. So am I to understand that this is what you're saying? Namely, that there is a nugget of truth in Lemire's testimony. A nugget we have yet to uncover. Exactly. If Lemire was attacked, this has serious implications. Very well. There was some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we did not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear Lemire's testimony once more. Lemire, I must apologize. We must ask you to stand again and speak. You need not apologize. I know that Maki is innocent, and I will do all that I can until the court realizes this. You told us you heard 2 gunshots and the shooter's voice through the window, and that the voice belonged to Darian Krishen, yes? That is correct. At which point I proved she could not be correct. She couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed and was found to be quite soundproof. I don't know why, but his... Tell me that's not a great sweat face.
It's a good sweat face.
It's a good sweat face, that's right, babe. You have nothing to say to that, Mr. Justice? I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there. There is, it seems, much you do not know. And yet it is my duty to hear him out. Perhaps the witness would be so kind as to testify once more to the court. Of course, Your Honor. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. That's when I heard them, Mr. Lettuce and the detective. I heard the faint sound of a gunshot and stopped. Then I heard another gunshot. There was the smell of gunpowder. I knew I must tell someone, but I was in a hurry, so I kept moving past the small window.
She didn't say anything about the gunpowder the other day, did she?
I don't remember anything about gunpowder the other day. Pretty much the same as yesterday's testimony. I am sorry. I am not used to speaking much in this language. Perhaps my descriptions are lacking in some way. Yet everything I have said here is the truth. Then it is my distinct displeasure to say this. What you have said to have happen is impossible. Do I have to repeat myself? Lemire was attacked because of this testimony. What, Trucy? Apollo, you know, for a moment there, you were pretty cool. Maybe I'd do better when I don't try to think ahead. Very well, Mr. Justice. Perhaps you can coolly cross-examine the witness? Something wrong? I know I said hold it, but she's saying the same thing she said before. Mr. Justice? Sorry, it's nothing. Please continue with your testimony. Now I know what they mean about the reckless youth these days. The one in red over there is a shining example, Air Judge. You're the last person who should be pointing fingers, Mr. Rockstar. Darian Crescend. I did not know his name at that time, but yet it was him, the one who took the stand yesterday. How many times do I need to remind you that's impossible? There is no way you could have heard him, because the window at the scene was closed. Is that why? Of course. Apollo, if we keep asking the same questions as yesterday, we won't get anywhere. She's right. Maybe this is a different angle.
What were they talking about?
That's right. Lemire, do you by any chance remember what they were saying to each other? If so, please tell us. I've given him much reflection, but I was afraid of this. She doesn't remember. I only heard one phrase clearly. Katie, get down from there. I need to be able to read. A whole phrase? You remember something that was said? Why didn't you say anything yesterday? Though my memory is clear, I was afraid to speak. You see, I do not understand what was said. This could be it, the clue I've been waiting for. Well, what did he say? It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Lettuce. The shooter, then, Darian Crescend. Well, what did he say? It's over. Press the switch now. Switch? And the shooter said this to the victim, Mr. Lettuce? I thought it was quite strange myself afterward. It is a mystery. What could it possibly mean? Mr. Justice, care to shed some light on this? Eric, sure, I'd be delighted. It's, very, very vital. Perhaps we could add this to the testimony. Maybe, Apollo? Okay, I think I might know, because I know we have a switch. Let me press her really fast, see if there's anything else. And it was Detective Darian Crescend's voice. Yes, I am sure of it. It's over, press the switch. Why would he say that to Mr. Lettuce? Apollo, the murder weapon, the revolver, was Mr. Lettuce's, right? Yeah, what of it? Well, maybe when he said press the switch, he really meant to say pull the trigger. Because his English isn't so good. Darian Crescend is a native speaker. Oh, right. Sorry, I kind of forgot who was what. Press the switch. That's not something a killer usually says to their victim, is it? Was there no one else in the room? I do not know. All I heard was Mr. Lettuce and the detective. Alright, let's try it. Press the switch. There's only one key that can unlock the mystery of those words. Oh? Yet there was nothing at the scene that could be called a switch, save the lights. True, there wasn't a switch at the scene, but it just so happens I have a switch right here. It certainly does look like a switch, doesn't it? The problem is, this was found not at the scene of the crime, but on stage. The stage? Where the concert was held, yes. This was found hidden there. On the stage. Are you claiming that the voice Lemire heard was of someone commanding another to press the switch? It's a possibility. Oh, Air Forehead, I'd call that an impossibility. Why? It's hardly necessary for me to remind the court of the layout of the concert forum. The stage is quite far from Lemire's dressing room. Not to mention that the Gaviners were in the middle of a concert on said stage. We are known for being a quiet band. You could shout all you wanted and not be heard. The detective's voice was loud, but certainly not a shout. So too have Air Forehead's cries of possibility fallen far short of being heard. Sorry, but he wouldn't have needed to shout. Excuse me, you heard what I said, or do you need me to shout it out for you? It would have been quite simple to be heard on the stage from that dressing room. Oh wait, you like evidence, don't you? How about this? Using this, it would be easy to get a message to someone on stage from the dressing room.
Earpiece?
I believe so. Prosecutor Gavin, perhaps you're familiar with this? Why, that's... What? What is it? Is that some kind of newfangled phone they've invented while I wasn't looking? This is a type of transmitter, a communications device. Communications device? From what I've heard, that night, everyone on stage was wearing one of these. Isn't that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Ah, yes, actually. They're for talking between band members. We all had one on. So you admit that if you were wearing one of these, talking from the backstage to the stage would be simple. True, but wait, those send out an electronic signal. To avoid interference with the audio systems, their range is quite limited. Lemire said it was about 30 feet, right? Look at this cross-section diagram of the concert forum. Ah, exactly, the walk from the stage to the backstage seems far, but the direct distance is less than 30 feet. That can't be. You like that, hun, huh?
Yeah.
So when Lemire heard the shooter's voice, he could have been talking to someone on stage. Ha! You're claiming this is the switch in question? Why did it have to be on the stage at the time? It could be placed in a pocket and carried anywhere. Someone could have hid it on the stage after the fact. Hey, he's got a point. How do we know where it was when she heard that voice? Where the shooter said press the switch, or when the shooter said press the switch? Well, I guess we don't. An unfortunate situation. I'm afraid that until we know where the switch was, there's little point in debating it. Ugh. I was sure this was the way to go with this. What is this switch anyway? We don't even know that basic fact. Wait a second. I do know what this switch is. And if you follow that train of logic to its incredible conclusion, it ends up in proof that completely changes this case. What's up, Apollo? Apollo? We know about the switch, right? We know what it is. Yeah? Well, think of when it was used that day. Think of what happened. Well, Mr. Justice. The switch? Your Honor? Yes, Mr. Justice. I've been remiss in not telling the court this before. I know what the switch is. Well, it seems the defense is set upon linking this switch to the case. Let's see your evidence of the link. What evidence do you have to explain what this switch is? Do you know, hon?
Is it the guitar that's burned up? Or the receiver?
I think it's the receiver. The switch goes to the igniter. And then out comes the burned guitar. Prosecutor Gavin, you remember this? That what? Is it another one of those newfangled phones? This is an igniter. What phone looks like this? Igniter? You mean it's like a lighter? Yes, actually. You aren't saying the switch is a remote... I am. This is a remote trigger for an igniter. What? Look, I'll show you. Yow, 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 yow. Mr. Justice, you will cease and desist from burning down this courtroom? Sorry, that was a bit more fire than I'd expected. If my whiskers had caught on fire... Prosecutor Gavin, let me repeat myself. This switch is a remote igniter trigger. Doesn't that suggest something to you? You're talking about what happened to me, aren't you? Ah. Exactly, that night at the concert there was one unusual burst of flame. When your guitar caught fire in the middle of your performance. Wasn't that part of the stage show, though? Prosecutor Gavin was entirely unaware such a thing had been planned, and the guitar that burned was a valuable keepsake. That's right, he got it in Borginia from Lemire. He said the sound was amazing. Before it burned, of course. Now it just kind of smokes. The better the guitar, the brighter it burns. Air forehead. Yes? Don't tell me you're trying to tie these two things together. Those being the shooter's voice heard by Lemire, and the guitar suddenly catching on fire. I am. It's really simple when you think about it. Mr. Lettuce and the shooter were at the crime scene. The shooter was wearing a headset. He ordered someone on stage to press the switch. The switch was pressed and the guitar caught fire. Well, that does seem to make sense. There's something about it that's bugging me. Can't quite put my finger on it. Really, it seems pretty simple to me. Air forehead, don't destroy what little respect I have for you. I was expecting something a little more sensible. I guess I was wrong. What's this all about, Prosecutor Gavin? His simple story simply makes no sense. Think, that night my guitar caught fire, yes. The cause may have been this indeed. However, the guitar caught fire during the second set. That's right, of course. The guitar caught fire during Lemire's song. Indeed, yet the shooting happened during the third set. The two are utterly unrelated. Yes, that must have been what was bugging me. The whole premise for this is faulty. See? His story makes no sense. Are you sure about that? What exactly do you mean, Mr. Justice? Maybe it's not the premise for my explanation of the switch that's at fault. Maybe it's our premise for the entire case so far. What premise is this specifically? I'm glad you asked. I'm saying that maybe the killing didn't take place in the third act. What's this? But Detective Emma Skye heard shots and found the body. All of this happened in the third act. Gunshots rang out, and according to his testimony, Maki was in that dressing room at the time. Where are you going with this, Mr. Justice? Stay with me, Your Honor. He also told us this in his testimony, namely that the victim had already been shot. We all heard gunshots, but no one saw the shooting. This is insane. Just before the shooting took place, the shooter was heard on his headset, telling someone to press the switch. The next moment, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. We know that a remote trigger igniter was inside the guitar. From all these facts, we can draw only one conclusion. The crime did not take place during the third act, but during the ballad performance, the second act. What? And Lemire is just chilling there like, this is interesting. But that goes against the evidence. What does, Your Honor? This crime was carried out according to the lyrics of that song, yes? Hey, he's right, look. The bullet is supposed to come after the fire. You're thinking about it the wrong way, huh? Look, why would the shooter craft the events of the day to follow the lyrics anyway? It's an awful lot of trouble to go through, with little merit for the person doing it. Well, I'm sure whoever it was had some reason. Yes, they did. A reason that made it advantageous to follow the lyrics. You're saying the order was reversed on purpose? Huh? Reverse, Prosecutor Gavin. If the criminal followed the lyrics strictly, then yes. The shooting would have had to come after the guitar burst into flame. Yet Air Forehead has raised another possibility. He's claiming that the bullet came not after, but just before the fire. Couldn't have put it better myself. We were only meant to think that the shooting came after the guitar burst into flame. That was the criminal's objective. The crime followed the lyrics to a point, but that was the ruse. Why else would the killer risk discovery by moving the body? That was the final touch to make us think he'd follow the lyrics the whole way. Order, order, order. That would explain this most unusual situation. It does. The killer changed the order of events to create himself an alibi. In other words, the killer was someone who had an alibi for the third set, but not the second. I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but sadly it has. Let me tell you why your little fairy tale makes no sense at all. Oh, it sounds good, I'll give you that. You've given us a reason why the killer bothered following the lyrics of my song, but I question your logic, for it's flawed from the very beginning. Flawed? Yes, a contradiction, Air Forehead, one I pointed out several times, no less. At the time of the crime, the small window at the scene was closed. How could Lemire have heard a voice through it? Oh. I know that you would like to divert our attention from this critical fact, but you're basing your entire line of reasoning on a false premise. Right. Lemire's testimony is my entire case. That voice she heard, the shooter's voice... What if she couldn't hear it, Apollo? Look, what do we have? A man saying press the switch. And near the crime scene we have a switch, which acts as a remote trigger for an igniter. And last but not least, Prosecutor Gavin's flaming guitar. It can't all be coincidence, but how do I make it work? I see a more direct line of questioning is required. When the crime scene was investigated, immediately after the crime, that window was closed. Care to tell us how Lemire heard the voice? Huh. A key point to be sure. Mr. Justice, can you explain this to the court? Okay, Justice. You've got one thing to prove and one thing only. Lemire heard a voice. And she heard it during the second set. Think, how was Lemire able to hear the voice? The window was open, she has divine hearing, she was somewhere else.
She was somewhere else because she can't necessarily see, so...
Yeah, like does she 100% know she was actually by that window? And a lot of this is like changing the premise of the case. So the window being open is kind of simple. Divine hearing is a joke answer, I think. But she was somewhere else, I think would change things up. When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it, had it been open either. Meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through that window. Ah, it's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment I was afraid you might be a Borginian, too. As I was saying, Lemire could not hear the voice through the window, so there can only be one explanation. She heard the voice from another location entirely. What's this? Ha ha ha, you do amuse me so. And here I thought you and good sense were back on speaking terms. Now I'm afraid you and good sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret for you, Air Forehead? Lemire clearly stated she heard the voice through that small window. And there was only one small window at the scene. Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at the scene? There is? Ah, I know that look. He wants us to ask him. Very well, you claim Lemire heard the voice from another location. Mr. Justice, show us where this location was.
I think it's from one of the vents.
Yeah, is it the vent? Was she in the vent?
Well, don't the vents go right up to the backstage walking area?
But the thing is, the vent has to be small enough. Like, that's why Maki did
Not
it.
that she's in the vent, but like, I was gonna say, don't they let up to the backstage walking area because you have to go downstairs to get to the dressing rooms?
I think you may be right about that. So what should I point to?
I don't know if it's the other two vents above where he's, like, there.
Let's try it then. I mean, we got a full health bar at least, so. Oh no. Anytime I see periods. Does this look like a small window to you, Mr. Justice? The state of modern society can be read from numerous objects and artifacts. In a sense, anything can be a window on our society. I didn't ask you to point out a window on society. I want a window on the crime scene. No points for trying.
Well,
Okay, that was such a good BS answer he gave, though. The mirror claims she heard the voice through a small window. And if the small window we know about was closed, there's only one other thing she could have meant. The mirror heard the voice. So let's see.
it's not one of those vents.
If the small window was closed, there's only one thing she could have meant. So it's not the vents. She wasn't in the guitar case here. It wasn't a door. But see, like, that's hers, so you would think there's... Did she hear it through the...
Well, she said she came back through the door and then ran out while we were there. I don't see anything that key another window.
I don't either. But something is, obviously. Let's see.
What do you think of that?
So let's see. Could... Thing is, the vent was Maki. Although... Huh. Sorry for the silent thinking in some cases. I think it is the vent. Yeah, I think it probably is. She's getting a drink, but I think it is the vent. I'm waiting for her to come back with her drink, and then I'm gonna tell her I'm going with the vent. So I'm gonna go, since they're saying it's a small window, I'm gonna go with the small vent since we've established it's small.
All my muscles hurt.
This is where Lemira heard that voice from. But that's no small window. That's the air vent.
So I was on the right idea.
Yeah. I think we should just went with our gut with the first vent instead of overthinking it. Because we both basically went with the other vents.
Well, yeah, because it made... I don't know.
Yeah. What did she tell us? She said she's a Borginian, unfamiliar with our language. It's not a stretch to imagine she called this air vent a small window. Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous and into ludicrous. So Lemire was up in the ventilation system listening to this man's voice? That's the only logical explanation, yes. Logical? I do not think this word means what you think it means, Air Forehead. Okay, what about it isn't logical? Ha, it hardly merits saying. Why would Lemire be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat, no offense intended to her, of course. The explanation for that is simple, Prosecutor Gavin. Isn't it, Lemire? You have been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit it's had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed, but why should that mean I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecutor might himself need an interpreter. The problem here is words. Lemire, the small window through which you heard the voice, was it up high on the ceiling of the room, not low on a wall? Yes, it was up on the ceiling. What? Order, order, I will have order. Witness, you will clarify this statement to the court. Are you in fact saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room, and that's where you heard the moment of the crime? Yes, in fact I was. I am sorry, I never imagined it would become such an important point. Yes, well, why the heck were you up there? I believe it's time for another testimony. I'm not sure I can't. May I remind you this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling of that room. Oh, I wonder if it has to do with the magic trick.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I'm on the right track. He's excited about it. I'm going to get some more water.
Yeah.
So are you intrigued by the mystery?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice. Ah, new picture. I had heard there was a small window there before. It was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report what I had heard. As to why I was there, I cannot say. I am bound to secrecy on this matter. Bound to secrecy? In my line of work, one has many obligations to uphold. But you say you were in the middle of your performance. So this did happen during the second set. I did not witness the crime, you must understand. I only know what I heard. Yes, but you must tell us what you were doing in detail. That's what the cross-examination is for, ya, Air Forehead? Our mission in this court is to discern the truth. No obligation, no binding pact may hinder that mission. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. What are you going to do, Apollo? I'm going to find out the truth. She was up above that ceiling for a reason. I just have to get it out of her. So, I think we should go to the end. These two. Press her there first. You heard the gunshots during the second set during your performance. You're quite sure? Yes. Why would I lie about the time? Why didn't you tell us this yesterday? No one asked me. I thought you all knew. I told you Maki was not the killer. I told you this many times. Yes, you did. But you never told us why. I'm sorry. She looks so sweet when she does that.
She looks like Mary or something.
Yeah, like even though there's nothing like religious about her, it is spiritual, so I guess, yeah. I was not able to speak of it. Unable or unwilling. She's not talking, Apollo, what do we do? We'll just have to prove it ourselves. As long as she is bound by this pack of silence, she won't talk. If I can prove why she was up there, she'll have to admit it. But how are you going to do that? She was singing on the stage, Apollo. She could have been up above the ceiling, too. Yes, she could. I've got a theory as to why, too. And maybe I've got the evidence to prove it. Exactly who bound you to secrecy? I'm not sure I'm allowed to say who it was. No, I think perhaps that is all right. It is just a name, after all. It was Valin Grimarier. Perhaps you know him. Valin Grimarier? What? You mean Uncle Valent? What? Valin Grimarier? Who's Valin Grimarier? A grand magician, the one responsible for the illusion performed during our concert. Wonder why he's reacting like that. I actually know why.
Okay.
Interesting reaction, Prosecutor Gavin. Lemira was bound to secrecy. It's going to take some hard-hitting proof to make her talk. I think I know why she was up there, but how do I prove it? So I think it's the fourth thing that we have to present something. Because there was this whole big thing on, we're going to have to do it ourselves. I think I have an idea.
Can I see the stuff?
Sure.
Oh, scroll through. Maybe it's a diagram of the stage where it shows the air vents.
This.
Not that one.
Oh, this.
Let's look at it. That one?
You want to try it?
I don't know. What were you thinking?
I was thinking the videotape.
Oh.
Lemira, truth be told, the reason for your presence above that ceiling is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance. What happened? Yes, it's all right here on this video. As we can see, Lemira was clearly on the stage for her entire performance. Though it's sad to be so realistic, Lemira is incapable of actually vanishing. So the only explanation is that she was hidden from view, and during that time she moved to the back of the forum. Apollo? What, Trucy? It's not nice to reveal a magician's secret, and it's against the rules. But I'm a lawyer, I'm not supposed to be nice. This is all very fascinating, but how is it possible? There is only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast. Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin? This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed. Aha! He's just realizing his own oversight. Let's look at the cross-section diagram again. Here we can trace a route through the ceiling. It goes from the stage, through the backstage, to the rear of the forum. Ah. Recall Amir's testimony from yesterday. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. She went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this route above the ceiling. Lemire knew of this because of her part in the illusion, but she wasn't the only one who knew. What? Just now in the lobby, Maki told me something. I know if I open vent, I can leave stage and backstage. He said that. Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin? I knew about the Vanishing Act, of course, yet I had no idea of the route that would be used. Why didn't that magician tell me? Magicians only reveal details of their acts on a need-to-know basis. They're the bread and butter of a magician's life, you know. Which is why he bound Lemire to secrecy. Well, Lemire? I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Maki was right about you. So, what does this mean? Are you saying you used this route above the ceiling? I did. Well, that's that, but I'm still a little confused. Why's that, Your Honor? As I said before... There was very little time between when she disappeared and when she reappeared. 20 seconds, tops. How could she do it so fast? Especially if she stopped to hear the shooter's voice. That's a good question. Can the witness explain this to the court? I cannot. Very well, Mr. Justice. Yes. It's all up to you. Do your thing. What thing, Your Honor? You need to explain how Lemire was able to teleport like she did. Or I'm throwing your case out with the bathwater. Ugh. Why do I get picked on? It's Lemire who isn't going along with the program here. As I have stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail. Then you'll just have to tell us what you can. We'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it will be your job to wring the truth out of her. Yes, if you would, please. Right. I feel like a student before finals. Good luck, Apollo. Yeah, nobody else will do it for us. But, you know, this explains why she said she was in a rush and didn't tell anybody. Because she was mid-performance. I followed the route exactly as I was instructed. There was an emergency exit in the backstage where a stagehand waited. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side from the stage. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. I was on my way when I heard the voice. 2 minutes?
That's a problem, because it's 20 seconds, right?
Yeah. 2 minutes, you say. The mystery deepens. I suppose it was too much to hope that the judge would come up with something. As does my curiosity. Take it away, Mr. Justice. Right, Your Honor. All I have to do is find the contradiction between what Lemire is saying and what we can see plainly in the video.
If not 2 minutes.
Yeah. I figured it out already. I am a magician, after all. Well, tell me. Not a chance. I can't reveal another magician's secrets. Come on. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here. How did you proceed along this route? How? Why, I walked. But you arrived behind the forum much too fast to have been walking. Tell the truth, Lemire, you rode some kind of vehicle. What? A vehicle? What vehicle? Ah, what a novel idea. I like it. Hey, that's not a bad guess. Wrong, but not bad. Ha ha, yes, laugh at the dumb attorney. I don't mind. Ah ha ha, I'm sorry, but the girl is right. That vent was much too small for vehicles. It was a tight fit. Even I had to crouch as I walked. I cannot imagine a vehicle that would fit in such a small space. Arg, if it wasn't a vehicle, what was it? You had me going for a while there, Mr. Justice. Too bad. Ready for the next part? Why do I feel like I'm on some kind of quiz show? It is funny, like, they're all looking at you, like, figure this out! Emergency exit stagehand. Did everyone on the concert staff know about the trick? Not all, only a few that were needed to help. See, like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. So not many people knew about the trick. What were these stagehands required to do? One needed to open the emergency exit. The door to the stairs is locked, but once through there... From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side from the stage. So when you came back out, you were behind the audience. Yes, that is how it worked. Not a bad show, if I do say so myself. That's Uncle Valen for you, the old Grammarier touch. But on the video, you were only gone for 20 seconds. How is that possible? That's the part I don't get either. Yeah, it would be hard to go so far at only 20 seconds.
But she did.
The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you're running. Running? In that cramped dark tunnel above the ceiling? Ha, Mr. Attorney, have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me.
Why all of a sudden is she laughing a lot in her testimony?
I don't know. Everyone's laughing at him. Ah, that's true, but... So you're saying that on the night of the concert you made the trip in 2 minutes? Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway. Lemire disappears on the video for 20 seconds, but she says she made the trip in 2 minutes. How? If you want my professional opinion, I'll bet the answer's right there in that video. Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us? Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony? Evidence explaining the discrepancy. Well, she said it's in the video. Do we have to, like... What's the video? No, wait, was she there right before that? Yeah, she's not there, and then she is. That's interesting. There's one piece of evidence that explains the discrepancy between video and testimony. Oh, the video is the thing that can explain the discrepancy between the video? Whoops, sorry. I don't know, how, oh, that's how I'm doing that. I didn't realize you could skip the whole thing by pressing up and down. You know, I wonder if she's already going down when that thing's going up. I don't know who's there then.
When her cloak is going up?
Well, no, remember when that thing rises and she's still singing?
Yeah.
What if somehow... Again, I can't explain why she's up there, but maybe when that thing rises, she's already gone down.
But we see her.
That's why I can't explain that part. Is the video the thing? Aha, so this is it. The magical key to unlocking this illusion's dark secret. Tell us how it works. Quickly! I can't bear the suspense. I was kind of hoping someone else would jump in at this point. Well, you see... Air Judge, I do hate to spoil the mood, but I haven't the faintest idea what he's talking about, and neither does he. I am a little confused too there, Apollo. Right, by which I conclude that I was wrong. Better luck next time, Pollywog. Mr. Justice, I'm holding you responsible for spoiling my mood. Was that a tear I just saw in the judge's eye? Alright, nothing to do but rethink this through. Let's save.
What is the question again?
Okay.
My whole body hurts.
Aww. Let's press her on this, and then we'll go back to forth. And it was Darian's voice you heard. Yes, I am certain it was him. A matter best left for later, yeah? Put that forehead of yours to work on the illusion first. Hold on, I think the identity of the killer is a little more important, don't you? Important Schmortons? Objection overruled. Tell us about the illusion. No use trying to avoid the problem at hand, Apollo. Trying to avoid the problem? This is a murder trial. The killer is the problem. Contradiction between Lemire's testimony and the video. Unraveling an illusion can't be so different from solving a normal case, right? Sorry, Apollo, I'm not telling, not even if you make those puppy dog eyes. Fine, fine. Okay, let's go back to see what the question was. 2 minutes. Running. Yes. There's a discrepancy between the video and... Okay, so basically they're saying the video shows she's gone for
20 seconds.
For 20 seconds. She's saying it's 2 minutes. What explains the discrepancy? Because it doesn't look like she's lying that it's 2 minutes. But the video is not lying that it's 20 seconds.
Let's go through our thing.
Okay. I'm gonna click on present evidence just to... Well, we gotta go through it anyway. Okay, so first we have the burning guitar. They're slightly scorched, and then there's this. It's burned clean through. Yep, it's pretty much a useless piece of junk. It's kind of like you after a trial, Apollo. Which part, the burned clean through or the useless piece of junk? There's the replica of the cocoon for Incuritis. Virginian newspaper.
Is it that just wouldn't take 2 minutes? That?
Well, here's the thing. If it's up in the air, then how is she going to go down that high rise through there? She needs to leave when it's grounded. So I don't know yet how she's up there, but she had to have left before that thing started moving up. It's the only thing that makes sense. Let's do this. I suck.
Well, I suck too.
I suck more. Okay. How about we look at that video again? So... she is. There's Maki. See how she's on something that she should be able to go down on? That's where I think she starts going down and moving. I don't know who that is, though, because that doesn't make any sense. And then that's where they're saying, press the switch now. Headset. So the brooch then must have gone through the vent.
Well, no, she said when she came back in the door quickly.
Yeah, but I think she was lying about that. Or actually, she might not have, but...
What about the synthesizer thing?
This?
Can you examine it? Oh, that's not the right one.
Yeah.
What the heck, man? What's that?
I mean, I know this would allow her to keep singing, maybe? Well, no, because that wouldn't be what she's singing into. So I don't think it would be.
No, that would be her.
That'd just be the talk to stagehands.
What have we presented?
We've presented this, the form diagram,
Okay.
the video,
Okay.
and I think that's what we've done.
Those seem like the most logical.
I mean, I thought those two were the most logical, too.
Because we have to present evidence. It can't be there's no evidence now, right?
Yeah. Let's go through, let's skip a little dialogue, but let's go through, let's see, it's 2 minutes, 1 if you're running. Made the trip in 2 minutes, yes. Though I nearly didn't make it in time, because she stopped halfway.
She's saying it's in the video too.
She's saying the evidence is in the video, but that doesn't mean that it's the video itself, because we tried that. Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony.
Can we present people?
No.
Oh.
What if we say there's no evidence? What kind of evidence could prove that? What's your professional opinion about this one, Trucy? Sorry, I don't work in evidence. And I don't work in tricks. I'm an attorney, not a magician, for crying out loud. Really? I'm sure Daddy would have loved working on this. Thanks, that makes me feel oh so much better. Well, I don't know about all of you, but I find this mystery fascinating. And I'm not letting this trial go any further until we get to the bottom of it. The defense will continue with the cross-examination until we have some answers. Easier said than done. Evidence that explains the discrepancy between video and testimony. And now through the air I fly.
Go back to the lyrics.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, this one's stumping me. Stumping me something fierce. Wait a minute. Look, she doesn't have the brooch anymore. No brooch on her anymore.
But she had it before she...
Yeah. Look. See?
Ah, good eyeball. I thought we had already established the brooch.
No, because I don't think we ever established she was actually truthful. It looked like she kept lying, so... Here we go. Lemire, do you happen to remember this brooch? Aha, the brooch. We saw that yesterday, did we not? It was found at the scene, Your Honor. And you're bringing this up now. Why? I thought we had already determined when that was dropped. So did I. But we hadn't. Take another look at the video. Here you can see she's wearing the brooch. So she is. Let's look a bit later. What? The brooch, it's gone. What? Yes. The brooch disappeared in the short space of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there could only be one explanation. Now, I know about the brooch, I still don't know what the explanation is.
Okay.
The Lemire we see before the Vanishing Act and the Lemire we see after are two different people. That's what I was getting at.
I kind of wondered that, but we have no...
Well, we have no evidence there's a second person.
Right.
But it's the only way it works. Because she had to do it in 2 minutes. And that's what I'm saying, like... She could have been doing all that and going through in the 2 minutes. What? The brooch was found on the floor of the crime scene. And not just on the floor, but on top of the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lemire, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage? At the very moment you witnessed the crime? Yes, I think I did. Order. Prosecutor Gavin. From your expression, I gather you had no idea this was the case, Air Judge. I, of course, knew about it. What? Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it. It just never occurred to me that the switch and the shooting took place at the same time. So, I was right. There was a switch. There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lemire was replaced. What did I tell you? While we're on the subject, just who was this replacement, Lemire? Why, the man behind the illusion, Valen Grimarier. It was Grimarier? That's quite the illusion. But I still don't get one thing. Yes? The switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So you weren't on the stage. That's right. But this, fake Lemire is still singing. And she's pretty good. That's true. Come on, Apollo, that's an easy one. They were just playing a recording. Ah ha ha. The Gaviners aren't some kind of air guitar brand, Fraulein. Oh? You mean I'm wrong? When we play a show live, we play live, no recordings. Perhaps you could explain, Lemire? Very well. Yes, do tell, and add it to your testimony. You were singing. Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings, so I used this. Wait, so you were singing the whole time? Even when you were crawling above the ceiling toward the backstage? Why should it matter where I sing when everywhere I go is the same darkness? But if you were singing while you were walking... That's right, wouldn't the shooter and victim have heard? No. She was singing right over their heads after all. That is right. Are you sure? You have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the ceiling.
Through the speaker anyway.
Exactly. Once again, we come back to the state of the scene of the crime. What state? I know what he means, that old speaker, Apollo. The speaker? The speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. And that's for monitoring the stage from this room. Monitoring? It pipes in a real-time feed from the stage microphones. Satisfied? That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing a direct feed from the stage. At my request, actually. So Lemire singing in the ceiling sounded just like Lemire singing over the speaker. Ingenious, her voice was hidden by her voice. Lemire? I have just remembered something. Do tell. When I heard the noise, the gunshots, yes? It startled me, so you? I stopped singing. What? I forgot the words I was supposed to sing. The song stopped. Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse, so not many would notice. Forehead, that mixing board I lent you, where is it? The mixing, huh? That machine, Apollo, the one that breaks music into tracks. Oh, this. I'd completely forgotten about it. We didn't. Let's take a listen. Yeah, I thought something was up with that. Yeah, it's pleasure, pleasure. The song does stop there. It does, I must have missed it. Look at the lyric sheet at the top of the second verse. See where it says pleasure, pleasure? Now listen again. This is evidence indeed. I believe we are guilty of making a terrible mistake. The crime didn't happen during the third set, it happened during the second, during Lemire's ballad. If that is true, then no one on stage during the second set could have been the shooter, which means that Darian Krishen could have done it. He wasn't on stage for the second set. Well, Prosecutor Gavin, fascinating. I don't believe I've ever seen a trial turned around quite so thoroughly. Yet one problem remains. What's that, Prosecutor Gavin? Air Forehead's theory does have a certain kind of logic to it. Yet it is entirely based upon Lemire's testimony. Yes, is there a problem with this? Well, it's quite simple, though it pains me to say it. What if she is lying to protect the defendant? But you have no proof. All I'm saying is that the truth is as yet unclear, until we hear directly from the man himself. The man? You don't mean... Yes. Though he is a friend and band member, Darian Krishen must take the stand. I see no other way. As someone with a new perspective on this case, as a suspect to be frank. Finally, the rat's coming out of his hole. And I'm ready to catch him. Darian Krishen, get ready for justice. This is as good a time as any to pause for a brief recess. The prosecution will summon the witness. Have him here and ready by the time we begin. I'm the last man who needs to be reminded of what his duties are. Very well, court is adjourned for a 15-minute recess. I want to keep going. How are you feeling?
I mean, I kind of hurt, but what am I going to do besides sleep? So, I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule so I can play. So.
Alrighty. We'll see if we can wrap it up then. Because personally, I think, I still think it was Lemire.
I mean, you know, but...
Like, she walked through, shot him, and then kept walking.
You know the actual answer, though, right?
Yeah.
See, I don't. I need to hear.
Yeah. I do promise, though, even though I know the who in these cases, I actually am, like, I didn't really remember that brooch until I finally was, like, thinking about the brooch. So a lot of the details I don't remember, which I like, because then I can play it with you. Apollo, I can't believe it. It really happened during the second act. And right in the middle of Lemira's performance. The reason why she was in that air vent. And that switch and the flaming guitar. When you link it all together, that's what you end up with. I knew you had what it took. Oh, is that right?
It's Daddy.
Ah, Daddy! Mr. Wright! You believed in me? Not really. Huh? I just thought that'd make a cooler entrance than say hiya. Why do I even bother hoping? Where have you been lately, Daddy? You haven't been coming to the office at all. Ah, sorry about that, Trucy. I'm on a secret mission. Secret? You mean like you're undercover? Like Mr. Lettuce, only shorter and not as well dressed. Oh no, what if you're shot too, Daddy? Ah ha ha, would I do a thing like that to you? Anyway, I'm off for a while again. Huh? You're leaving? Oh, one thing before I go. What? Good luck. Right. Is that all you came to say? I think you have things pretty much under control. You'll get Maki Tobai off the hook, no doubt. Yeah, but you're after the detective, aren't you? Darien Crescend. It won't be easy proving he did it, especially not under the current court system. The current court system? What did Prosecutor Gavin say during the trial? Your case is based on one fragile assumption, namely that our diva divine is telling the truth. But what about all the proof? The brooch and the switch? A piece of jewelry and a lyrical blunder. There are plenty of other ways to explain these things, the flaming guitar too. All because you lack definitive proof of their connection to the case. But if the sultry songstress is lying, your case melts like butter in a frying pan, leaving behind the faintly singed scent of failure. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. And be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Ugh. Oh, that reminds me. I have something to give you from our detective friend. Detective Sky, Emma? Let's see, this bag of snacks here was meant for me. Ah, here it is. What are those, Daddy? They don't look like very good snacking material. They were found at the scene. Analysis of the fragments revealed traces of gunpowder. Gunpowder? Probably a firecracker or something similar like the one kids are into these days. These fragments were found under the sofa at the scene of the crime, actually. Under the sofa. Hey, Apollo! That's where we found that little device thingy. Right, this. Well, finally, some evidence that makes sense. That's all from me, I suppose. See you after the verdict. Maybe. Right. Every man has an igniter inside him. Excuse me? Find Darien Crescend's igniter and set it off. And he walked out the door, just like a magician, normally. What does he want us to do? No conventional methods? What does that mean? I guess we just have to take his advice and hope it makes sense when the time comes. I guess. We're almost at the finish line. Hang in there, Chusey. Alright. Ready to do this? Court is now back in session. Prosecutor Gavin, where is Detective Crescend? In the witness lounge, ready to be called at any time. Very well. Might I add, I don't believe any of this. He, Darien, was the first detective I ever worked with. We stopped working together when he moved to Criminal Affairs Division 3. But his guitar playing, it fires my imagination. That's nice, but has nothing to do with the matter at hand. Correct? Oh, I know, Air Forehead. Very well, call the final witness to the stand. Detective Darien Crescend. Name and occupation, please. Darien Crescend, Detective Criminal Affairs Division 3. That's the International Affairs Division, for those of you who didn't know. And I'm a guitarist for the Gaviners. Maybe you've heard of us. Do you fully understand the circumstances under which you stand before us today? Yeah, I understand, Your Honor. What I don't understand is how you let this happen, partner. You gave me your word I wouldn't be standing here. The situation's changed, Darian. And don't call me partner. Phew, so much for old friends. I see what you're doing, Darian. You're pressing the prosecution. Your Honor, if we could begin the trial? Yes, it's high time we did. Let's hear your testimony. You may begin with your response to Lemira's testimony, if in fact you have anything to say about it. Oh, I got plenty to say. Lying must be a national pastime in Borginia. And wherever you're from, Mr. Justice, ha! Conventional methods are out the window, huh? Here goes nothing. The diva's lying plain and simple. She's got nothing to back up her story. In the first place, she never heard my voice. She forgot the words because she heard gunshots? As if. Didn't Detective Emma Sky hear those gunshots during the third set anyway? The shooting took place when I was on stage, man. So you claim Lemira's testimony was a lie? Hey, don't get me wrong, I dig what she's doing trying to protect that kid. And she's got the court eating vague statements out of her hand just because she's blind. You go too far, Darian. Look, all I'm saying is, you've got a reliable witness. Why not listen to the detective? Detective Sky? I see. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. He didn't waste any time finding our weak spot. I can't do this with Lemira's testimony alone. I'll have to find some other way to prove when the shooting took place. Should we press?
Yeah.
You don't have any proof she was lying. Oh yeah, kid? You saying I lied? No, I'm just saying, Apollo, glare back at him. I couldn't help it, I flinched by reflex. Detective Crescend? Yeah, what do you want? Nothing. Apollo, chin up, back straight, you're wilting. This guy's hard as nails. He makes Walkie look downright cooperative. Look, there's no way the diva remembers my voice. You never talked to her even though you were playing in the same concert. Not a word as far as I can recall. But weren't there planning sessions or something? Gavin took care of all that himself. Darian wasn't involved in any of the meetings with her. Ugh. As if you can just go around remembering everyone's voice like that anyway. Only an idiot would believe that. Lemira's hearing is very sensitive. She could remember him if she heard him, I'm sure of it. I just can't prove it. And I need proof. Oh, she missed the words. The mixing board proved it. Oh yeah? There was a mistake, but blaming it on gunshots is just a lame excuse. What do you mean? The mixing board proves what? It proves there was a mistake in the song, a missed cue. So? She just flubbed it up big time, that's all. She spins the story about a gunshot to protect the kid and cover for her own goof. Man, I'd have to hand it to her if she wasn't sticking it to me at the same time. Darian, watch what you say. Lemira is an artist. She just flubbed it up? That's no small accusation for a performer of her caliber. Heh, she's got to you all right. I can see it in your eyes. I tell you, most of her stuff is so pretentious it's way over my head. I'm detecting a rift in the Gaviner's ranks. Anyway, she's too close to the defendant. Her testimony can't be trusted. You ask me, I'd go with Detective Sky's story at the drop of a pick. Didn't Detective Emma Sky hear those gunshots during the third set anyway?
It's the firecracker.
It might be. Let's actually look at the firecracker. Yeah. So, you think this was some kind of firecracker? Yeah, or one of those noisemakers, like you shoot off on New Year's. Did you know that in China they use firecrackers on New Year's to scare off evil? So it's kind of the same thing. Really? I had no idea. Well, did you know this? It takes more than 500 peanuts to make 1 12-ounce jar of peanut butter? At least my use this fact has something to do with the evidence. He's got a point there. So I hear. Which means you heard them too, right? The gunshots. Yes, we heard gunshots. Neither I nor Emma actually saw the shooting, mind you. Heh, I guess you and Lemire got the same excuse then. We know one thing for certain here. There were gunshot-like sounds that emanated from that room during the third set. What we must determine is whether those sounds were actually gunshots. Maki heard them too. Remember he said he ran for the air duct when he heard them? So how do we figure out just what those gunshots during the third set were? I wonder if that's when we're supposed to... the fourth one is where we're supposed to. Let's press him on this, though.
Okay.
That could have been what the shooter wanted us to think. I'll tell you what the shooter, that kid, wants you to think. He wants you to think that Diva heard me in that room. I'm back to relying on Lemire's testimony. As much as I'm enjoying the Darien and Forehead show, there is no need for such tempers. Don't make us into some comedy duo. This means the Gavin and Darien show's cancelled? Neither of your claims can be proven or disproved. We could argue for days like this and get nowhere. Prosecutor Gavin is quite right. This court will hear no further discussion on this topic without new facts. New facts, huh? He's pretty eager to paint Lemire as a liar, isn't he? Yeah, because her testimony is basically our entire case. This is tough. So what do we do? I've got a few ideas. I just need to find another way to prove it didn't happen when he says it did. Okay. So, the burned fragments here.
Yeah.
Possibly a firecracker. Some things were found at the crime scene after yesterday's trial. What things? The first was this small device. That's the remote triggered igniter. Correct. And one more thing. What are those? The remains of something burnt? Not another guitar, I hope. Traces of gunpowder were found on those fragments. We have a report that it was something like a firecracker. How did Gavin know about this? What, do you think Detective Sky works for you? I received the report this morning before coming here. Now Cat's in the way of the text again. Move, Cat! That's when I made my decision, actually. What decision is this, Prosecutor Gavin? I registered Darien as a witness in today's trial, just in case. This raises another possibility. Those gunshot-like sounds during the third set could have been two firecrackers rigged to go up by remote control. Ha ha. You got an active imagination, don't you? But you shouldn't say every little thing you think. Your explanation there seems a bit too convenient to me. How so? So you're saying these firecrackers just happened to go off right when two witnesses came walking by. Ha! That's right. Darien was out on stage when it happened, Apollo. How would he know someone was backstage right then? If a firecracker goes off in the forest and there's no one there to hear, you get my drift? Why go through the trouble, man? How do I explain this? He may not look it, but Darien is a gifted detective. Show any weakness and he's sure to find it. He may not look it, partner? Gee, thanks, man. That reminds me. I happened to pass through that very hallway several times that day myself, and I saw something odd there just before the third set. Something odd? A headset, the kind all of the band and staff members were wearing. That's right. We picked this up in front of the door to that dressing room. What if that headset wasn't dropped but placed, and what if it was turned on? You could hear what was going on in that hallway, even if you were on stage. Heh. Whose side are you on, Gavin? Listen to me, Darien, there are no sides in a court of law. Which is why I now turn to you, Air Forehead. I have a question for you. Huh? For me? The igniter and the burnt fragments that were found at the scene of the crime. It's certainly a possibility that they were part of a ruse to fake the sound of gunshots. Throw the headset from the hallway into the mix, and you could fabricate an alibi. But we're still no closer to proving anything. Those gunshots may have been real or fake, we can't say. Ugh. You've raised the possibility that the shots heard during the third set were faked. Now you need to prove the other half of the case. The other half? Look, I'll just tell him. He wants you to prove the thing went down in the second act, while our little piano player was on stage. That's right, Gavin. Indeed, if you can't prove that, then to continue this cross-examination would be pointless. Well, Mr. Justice, can you prove the crime took place during the second set?
Yes.
Yeah, I think. You'd better know, Apollo, otherwise we're through. It can be proven. You make it sound like someone else is going to come along and do it for you. Let's continue with the cross-examination then, shall we? Witness your testimony, if you would. This isn't going to be easy. I need some decisive proof and fast. Heh, you ready, kid? 'Cause I am.
With the soundboard, because he was late. Because he was pushing the igniter for the firecrackers.
Well, that was the third set. But, well, okay, I get what you're going with that, where he was late and you think he was distracted.
Because he was pushing the igniter.
Right.
Set the firecrackers off in the third set.
Right. I think you're onto something with that. The only reason why I'm skeptical with this is they're asking for proof that it happened during the second set. Let's press him since we don't lose anything. Okay. See if it makes it clearer. Because I think you're actually totally right. But I don't know if it's for this. But the gunshots heard during the set could have been... What? Some kind of setup? I've heard that one before. We need proof, Apollo. We need to prove that the shooting took place during the second set. Well, if you know how to do that, I'm all ears. Maybe the gunshots are the key after all. What do you mean? Well, Lemira said she heard them, right? Right in the middle of her illusion when she was up above the ceiling. When she forgot the words to the song, yeah. If you can prove the gun was shot right when she missed those lyrics, we're home free, I think. True. Not easy, but true. Is there some way to prove that? Let's take a look through our evidence. Maybe there's something there. Hey, aren't you supposed to be cross-examining me? Try to refrain from private discussions during cross-examination, Mr. Justice. Right, Your Honor, sorry. Let me take a quick look through the court record. So, I wonder... Are we able to... Oh, this is the Guitar Serenade now?
Oh, can we hear it?
Yeah, maybe we can.
Right there.
Yep. Let me just... Yep, that's it. It seems there was clear proof left behind. See, you know what I forgot about this case? I dig the evidence. Using the sound mixer's fun. I think. Maybe you're just along for the ride?
I think it's cool.
Okay. Right here in Lemira's song. Her song? What exactly is this term device thingy? A new variety of gramophone, perhaps? Come on, we just used this, and don't get me started on gramophone. This device was used to record the performance part by part. Part? You move the sliders to adjust the volume. Each instrument is adjustable separately, Lemira's voice included. Ho ho! But what does this prove? According to Lemira's testimony, at the moment of the shooting, she forgot the words to the song. Ah, you intend to examine the recording of that moment, yeah? We might even hear those gunshots. Exactly. Ha, ridiculous. Ooh,
sweating.
Yeah. How are you supposed to hear gunshots back in that dressing room out on stage? Have you forgotten, Darian? We were all wearing these headsets. Oh. We were all deeply involved in our performance. But Lemira's headset would have picked up what she heard all the same. Then let's get to analyzing that recording. Right now, Lemira stopped singing when she heard the shots fired. Find that spot, and I'll find the gunshots. Well, we found it, but now I think it wants us to prove that we know where it is. Yeah. Your Honor, listen closely to this part. This is the track with Lemira's vocals. But you couldn't hear it because of the drums. I did hear something faintly there, yes. Why, it sounded like a gunshot. What? This has to be some kind of mistake. I believe a case has been made. Gunshots were heard during the second set, which means Lemira's testimony was true. Grah. Orders, so she was telling the truth about what she heard. It was the other man speaking, not... It's over, press the switch now. Just after that, there was a gunshot, and then the guitar caught on fire. Detective Krishen, you weren't on stage during the second set. You could have done it. But why did we only hear one gunshot on the recording? Weren't there 2 bullets fired from this weapon? Lemira was moving through the air vent, Your Honor. She must have not been close enough for her mic to catch the first shot. But then as she passed over the dressing room, the gun fired again and Mr. Lettuce's life was taken. Well, Detective Crescend? Once again I am reminded of something. Our performance that day. Your performance? Seeing the mixing board jogged my memory. You were there too, Air Forehead. What is it with the day? Problem after problem. Achtung! My hog won't start, my guitar case is busted, my guitar's been burned to a crisp, and top it all off, someone's dead. And then there was that performance just now. What was that all about? This part is off. Which is that, Second guitar? Ah. It was you, Darian. I thought it strange at the time. How could you miss such a simple cue? I know you. I know how you play. You're better than that. Yeah, well, You what? And Prosecutor Gavin, what are you getting at? I'm talking about the murder weapon, Mr. Lettuce's .45 caliber hand cannon. As we have learned, even the shooter doesn't go unscarred with a revolver that size. The kickback is enough to dislocate your shoulder if you're an amateur. Wait. You mean his playing was affected because he hurt himself shooting that revolver? Ha, you're forgetting something. Yes, Detective Crescend? I am a trained police officer, you know. I've had firearms training, plenty of it. I'm no amateur. The standard sidearm issued to police officers is a .38 caliber weapon. A much tamer beast. Also, the murder weapon belonged to the victim, Mr. Lettuce, which suggests there was a struggle between killer and victim. So the killer might not have been holding the revolver correctly when he fired. Is that what you mean? The thought had occurred to me, yes. Well, does the witness have anything to say to this? Detective Crescend, what I want to ask is what Mr. Sleeves rolled up ready for action has to say. Hey you, attorney. Me? Exactly which piece of your evidence is decisive again? You got a little noise on a tape that could be anything? And you have an alleged guitar cue missed due to a .45 caliber kickback? I weep for this case, Gavin, I really do. You can line up your little weak pieces of evidence all you want. I didn't shoot that manager, and that's the obvious truth. The witness has a point. The defense's arguments, while persuasive, are not decisive. I believe we should hear what the witness has to say in response to the case so far. Your testimony, please, Detective Crescend. Tell us your reasons why you couldn't have done it. Proof of innocence. Come on, why would I even want to kill that manager? You want a reason? Easy. I got no motive, man. This was that diva's first trip to the country, right? How could I possibly know her manager? If I didn't know him, why would I want to kill him? A simple reason indeed. Prosecutor Gavin, is it the case that Mr. Lettuce had not been to our country before? According to our records, yes, not even once. I see. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. Great, now I need to find a motive. her manager, sure, but Mr. Lettuce was... Oh, right, sorry, an Interpol agent, wasn't he? I just have trouble picturing that big lunk as an undercover cop, you dig? And not a very good one, seeing as how he got wasted.
Whoa.
Ha 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 ha. That's a bit rude.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. That's cold. Wow! Not that it matters either way. See, I had no reason to kill the man, whatever he was. But that's the same for Maki. No motive was proven for him. Come on, he traveled around the world with that old fart. He had plenty of time to come up with a motive of his own. Ugh. More than I sure did. I mean, think about it. Darian, you're a detective with international affairs? Yeah, what of it? Even if this was Mr. Lettuce's first trip to this country, you still could have met him prior to the concert. Huh? Or don't you take any international trips in international affairs? That's right. Well, Detective Crescend. Heh, that's your game, is it? Guess I'd better confess then. Confess? Yeah, it's a bit of an embarrassment, but I've never been sent overseas. What? But you're an international... See, me and Plain's got a difference of opinion. We don't like each other much. My condolences there, Forehead, but he's telling the truth. He should never set foot outside the country, I can guarantee it. As it turns out, my division has plenty of work to do locally as well. That's so unfair. So you didn't fraternize with him at all during the concert. Fraternize? Ha, I don't think we exchanged a single word. As if anyone would want to talk to that old Eastern blockhead. Now the ladies, that's a different matter altogether. But so you see...
He's kind of nasty.
He is, he's really nasty. I mean, he didn't seem nasty when we first met him. I mean, you know, he just had a little attitude, rocky. But he's a jerk. You sure about that? What? What? Wipe that look off your face before I do it for you. Listen, you try throwing out one of your wild accusations... I'll throw it back at you so hard you'll forget who you're accusing of what. Air Forehead, perhaps it's best if you let your evidence do the talking, yeah? Ah, ha, ha, ha. Man, what evidence? That's what I want to know. So he's using this motive question as ammunition, huh? Well, I've got ammunition too. Evidence.
Is it good?
Sample, huh? Then they put a big enough label on it? Maybe it's to keep people from eating it by mistake. Yes, they might think it was an otherwise tasty, multicolored lump of plastic. Maybe it's the manufacturer. Sample toys, when you can't afford the real thing.
Why is it in English?
I don't know. Well, so we can read it, probably. Or else they'd have to translate it for us. Sounds like a company Mr. Wright would like. Well, you know what I like, though? I imported this game, but it auto-detects what your region is.
Oh.
So it's actually cool. So the case is all in Japanese. So let's see. It could be the cocoon, but I still don't know how it connects to him. And he was putting in his own Interpol thing. Maybe it is the cocoon? Is that the one you were looking at?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not 100% either, but... I think so, the music stopped. Your Honor, take a look at this. What's that? Looks like candy. It's not. Don't lick it, please. Detective Crescent, ever seen this? Looks like a piece of candy. What it is evidence. Don't lick it before you try it. Specifically, this is a replica of a cocoon. It was found among the victim's belongings. A cocoon? Never seen one that color. It is a variety only found in the Republic of Borginia. Nowhere else. Alright, but what is this cocoon replica doing in my courtroom? Surely this has nothing to do with a motive for killing Mr. Lettuce, does it? It does. Wait. I mean, I think it does. You don't sound so confident, man. A cocoon? Is it one of those silky cocoons? The kind that you can make, well, silk out of? Not this one. The cocoon makes a powerful curative. A curative? For what? Apparently, it is most oh, wait, I can do this. It is most efficacious at treating a disease through thought incurable. It is the only medicine of its kind. However, it is illegal to take one of these healing cocoons out of Borginia. Whatever for? If it's such a miracle cure, why not share it with the world? Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. We looked into the matter at some length. Apparently, it isn't difficult at all to manufacture the remedy from the cocoon. Yet if you change the process only slightly, you can easily make a large quantity of something else entirely. A deadly poison, in fact. What? There was an incident several years ago where some of these got out of the black market, onto the black market. It caused quite the commotion in the global community, and though the media was kept largely unaware. Intriguing. All this has led to a strict ban on the cocoon's export, one rigidly enforced by Interpol, among others. Interpol? Right. The victim, Romaine Lettuce, was an Interpol agent. Detective Crescent, you insist on referring to him as a manager, but that is misleading. Romaine Lettuce wasn't killed as a manager. He was killed as an undercover agent. So I was trying to smuggle this gumball into the country? That what you're trying to say? I'm saying this could well be a motive for murder. Oh, so I was going to sell it on the black market, make myself a pretty penny. Ridiculous. I mean, totally unthinkable. Unthinkable, you say? Why? Perhaps it's time for another testimony about this smuggling of cocoons business. International Affairs got a memo about these cocoons. Interpol's all hot and bothered about them. Can't sell them on the black market, too dangerous. Yeah, cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. Man, I'm in International Affairs, I know the deal. Indeed. Interpol wanted these cocoons bad enough to send Mr. Lettuce undercover. You kids think up the craziest things. But no way am I going to risk life and limb. Just to get my hands on some dirty cocoon money. Not the most noble of statements, but duly noted. According to reports, these cocoons top Interpol's list. Selling them to an underground organization would be risky. Very well, you may begin the cross-examination. This is the only motive I've got. He was up to something, and I'm going to find out what. Alright, I didn't see any obvious contradictions, so press, yeah. Alright, let's do it. That memo, that's how you knew about the cocoons. Oh, nice one, nice one. I'm running scared now. You have to know about the cocoons to plan this. Just how well known are these cocoons? I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I'd never heard of them. Well, Lemira knew about them, though not their use. My reports indicate that there are ongoing efforts to control information about the cocoons. Most people only know they're illegal to export, that's all. Then, I have nothing to be embarrassed about after all. You could say people like me who know about them are a minority, yeah. But that includes everyone in International Affairs, man. And everyone in Interpol, too, for that matter. Yeah. So there are other Interpol agents like Mr. Lettuce. All over the world, likely. Deep undercover, most of them. That's why those cocoons are too hot for the black market. You don't want Interpol sniffing through your wares. Most came to the conclusion that... dangerous. Yeah, Interpol finds you, they arrest you on the spot. Or another marketeer might think you're part of a sting and take you out himself. Times have changed. Yeah, cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. But wouldn't scarcity drive up prices? Yeah, and attention. Every gangster and his brother would want to peace before you could say objection. Maybe we could get them to cut his hair, too. Who's on trial here again? Man, you so obviously know nothing about the market. And that's a bad thing? Don't even try to mess with me about this stuff. Which is why you know how to find a loophole in the system. Hey, you can say what you want about me, but back off of International Affairs. There ain't no loopholes, okay? What do you think we are, Boy Scouts? That wasn't what I was trying to, Down, Darian. It's as you say. There are no loopholes, at least in the case of these cocoons. International Affairs, Interpol, and Burgundian Customs are all watching. See, we know what we're doing. Not like some yipping little doggies that laugh at every word that Diva says. Why, I oughta. Oughta what? You want some of this? Aha, chill, both of you. Let's do this cool, yeah? Screw cool. I want this guy's head on a stick. The replica has to be the key to his motive. There's gotta be a way to find out what he was up to. So, let's look through our evidence.
The newspaper article talking about the disease. I mean, that doesn't really say anything.
I mean, definitely, I guess if you sell it...
But she knew that it cured incuritis, didn't she?
Yeah.
Amor did, from your...
I think everybody knows that. By everybody, I mean like it's on the evidence for the replica. Let's see. So what did he say to this one again? Because I'm also trying to figure out... I'm also trying to figure out which statement we need to present for. International, they got a memo. All hot and bothered. So either there's a contradiction, either you can sell them on the black market, either it is lucrative, or he doesn't know the deal.
I don't know.
Oh, let's do some saving.
What do you say about the black market?
Dangerous. Yeah, Interpol finds you, they arrest you on the spot. Or another marketeer might think you're part of a sting and take you on himself. Times have changed. I don't think there's anything there contradictory. But the lucrative...
I guess press him on that because if they know it cures incuritis and like the judge's son has it, then
Oh, so present the newspaper?
we'll press him here.
Okay. Press him again, see what he says. But wouldn't scarcity drive up prices? Yeah, and attention. Every gangster and his brother would want a piece of that action. They turn your forehead into Swiss cheese before you can say objection. Maybe we get them to cut his hair, too. Who's on trial here again? Man, you so obviously know nothing about the market. And that's a bad thing. Don't even try to mess with me about this stuff. Man, I'm in international affairs. I know the deal.
Well, it's not a gangster that wants it, it's a judge.
Yeah.
You can extort them or whatever for it.
So do you think this one or this one?
I think he would know the deal, like at least the penalties
Yeah.
that would happen to you.
Like, I feel like he's doing this risking himself. Okay. Let's see if... Good job, hon. Why not choose a less dangerous buyer, then? I would. How clueless are you? Everyone in the market's dangerous. The second they found out I was a cop, I could kiss my keister goodbye. Why sell it to a black market buyer? How about someone like this? That article! That's about the Chief Justice's... A deadly poison can be extracted from the cocoon. but so can a cure. And not a cure for just any disease, a cure for incuritis. Incuritis? I've heard of that somewhere. You went to visit a victim of the disease this morning. Aha! Why, that's the disease the Chief Justice's son has. You aren't saying... Our witness is a detective. He would have contact with the Chief Justice. You are saying the Chief Justice would never deal in contraband. Not even to save his own son's life? But even if the deal went through, why it'd be an international scandal? That's Detective Crescen's insurance. If word ever got out, the one with his neck on the line would be the Chief Justice. Detective Crescen, is this true? First I'm a murderer, now I'm a smuggler? How many crimes are you trying to pin on me anyway? Distasteful as it is to think about, if the Chief Justice were the buyer, why a seller couldn't hope for a better deal. A very cowardly seller. Don't let sleeves over there trick you. So I made a deal with the Chief Justice, where's your proof? Well... Oh yeah, and you're forgetting about one other important thing. Do tell. Interpol isn't the only ones out there watching this. Borgidian Customs barely sleeps. They're so worried about cocoons getting out. Huh, so we were informed. Let's continue with the cross-examination. Okay, Borgidian Customs is very... Okay, so let's press them on these 3 new statements. Borgidian Customs is very thorough. Everything and everyone gets checked. Just how strict is this customs check? Way strict. They keep planes on the ground for hours. I do remember it being a bit extreme. They were even confiscating gumdrops and marshmallows. Yes, it would be hard to distinguish them. That's right, Gavin was in Borginia, wasn't he? I remember setting off the metal detector several times. I had to practically strip naked to walk through. Here's a travel tip for you, Gavin. Leave the bling at home, you glimmerous fop. That's pretty extreme. Borginia has this rep as an idyllic, laid-back place. Truth is, they're beyond hardcore with security. The Republic of Borginia is a peaceful, pleasant country, so this level of security shows us how truly concerned they are about these cocoons. That's the situation. Hey man, if there's a way to get cocoons out of there, I'd sure like to know. You're in a position to know quite a bit about smuggling. Yeah, I need to know a bit for work, sure. But all we get are reports on the failed smuggling ops. Not exactly something you want to go copying. But if you want, I can tell you a few of them. Maybe you'll succeed and get rich. I would be interested in hearing. Purely from a legal perspective, of course. I weep for our judicial system. Replica has to be the key to his motive. There's got to be a way to find out what he was up to. Is there a way to get him out of there? I mean, we know Maki had one. So...
Was that in Maki's pocket, or was that in, Levis? Who had it?
I don't remember.
I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
Well, what I'm saying is, these are the 3 new statements. Borgidian Customs is very thorough, everything gets checked. Cocoon possession will get you arrested and sentenced to death. We know that's true. We've been told that a billion times. If there's a way to get cocoons out of there, I'd sure like to know.
Did you press him on it?
We did.
What did he say?
You're in a position to know quite a bit about smuggling.
Oh, the failed ops.
Yeah. So I wonder, do we have evidence that there's another way? Let's see. I mean, I could say, oh, they put it in the guitar case, but that would be an obvious thing to check. You're tapping your foot to this. It's kind of diggly, isn't it?
What about inside the guitar that was nailed? That got burned.
You would think they would check it, though, but... I mean...
And how there was an igniter in it.
Yeah. You're onto something. Actually, there is one way. What? One way to get something out of the country, no checks. What is it? You become a prosecutor. A prosecutor? Ah! I don't believe it.
He had his own special shipping company to get it over.
Yeah. Believe it, Prosecutor Gavin. What was it that you told me yesterday at your office? It was a beautiful instrument. It was played lovingly for many years, a guitar befitting a woman like Lemire. How did it end up here? I mentioned how much I enjoyed playing it that night, and she made a present of it. So this guitar is from Borginia. That it is. We couldn't carry it on the plane. Changes in air pressure and humidity ruined the wood. So we vacuum-packed it in Lemire's studio. I used a special shipping service available to me for transporting evidence. They brought it right up to my office for me. That's right! Pristine and untouched. Did I get that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Untouched? Quite. The guitar was wrapped in several sheets and vacuum-packed in Borginia. The pack was untouched until the day of the concert. Are you saying that guitar was... With cocoons this small, it would have been very easy to use your guitar as a mule to smuggle a cocoon out of Borginia. What? Which reminds me, Prosecutor Gavin. That guitar had some work done on it recently, right? Work? Good memory, Air Forehead. Well, you know how guitars have a round hole in the front. It is called the sound hole. Well, they found something attached to the wood just inside the hole. A broken device of some sort. A broken device? Yes, this in fact. An igniter. Exactly. Consider this, if you will. What if that igniter wasn't the only thing that was attached inside your guitar? You mean... He means this, of course. Ah. There was a way to get a cocoon out of the country. They could use picky Prosecutor Gavin's privileged guitar as a mule. And who better to do that than someone with access? Like a member of the band. York! York! Order, order, order. So the igniter was placed in there for a clear reason, it seems. It was a safety precaution. A precaution? Ah, Air Forehead. At last it all comes together. Every strange thing that happened that day. Care to review? Maestro, the gentle sounds of Lemire's ballad, if you please. First, my keys were stolen. A harmless misdemeanor, which forced me to break the lock of my guitar case. The key was stolen to retrieve the cocoon from the guitar. I see. But things didn't go so well. The smuggler wasn't counting on the guitar being wrapped. Only a member of the band could get near that case. Unwrapping the guitar would raise too many suspicions. Then the concert began. Right about this time, a very large problem presented itself to the smuggler. What's that? Mr. Lettuce. Ah, Mr. Lettuce, an undercover agent, was onto something. He would have known about the guitar. He'd only have to check the shipping records. So Mr. Lettuce tried to examine the guitar himself. If the cocoon were confiscated then, the gig would be up. The only thing left for the smuggler to do was to get rid of the whole lot. The guitar burst into flames. The cocoon was lost. And then Mr. Lettuce died, with Lemire there to witness it. There's your case. Eh, ha ha. Brilliant, man. Detective Crescend? I gotta know, you make all that up on the fly? For a made-up story, it makes a great deal of sense, Darian. Fair. The Republic of Borginia? Sorry, man, but I haven't even been there. Sure you haven't. Let's see you make up a story for that, kid. How'd I have the cocoon in the first place, huh? It's not so hard to imagine. You had help, a Borginian accomplice. That's all. That you had an accomplice was clear from the start. The voice Lemire heard proves it. You made this transmission from backstage, while your co-conspirator was on stage. But who was it? This is it. The coup de grace. If that's how you pronounce it. Coup de grace. Yeah, I knew something was up.
I don't know.
I think you're right. And for once I know what I'm doing. There's only one person who could have helped him. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say then. But be warned, with a great accusation comes great responsibility. Make up your answer on the fly, as it were, and you'll be harshly penalized. Are you ready, Mr. Justice? Who was the smuggler's accomplice?
You think it's Maki?
I mean, Maki was so scared of it, he knew about it.
And he also said you don't need to talk to him anymore.
Right. So, it's the only thing that works. There's only one person who meets all the requirements of the accomplice. And that person is the defendant Maki Tobaye. But Mr. Justice, he's your client. A defense attorney accusing his client, that's a new one. I assure you no one is more unhappy about this than I. But I am here to defend him in the murder of Mr. Lettuce. And I stand on my statement earlier that he is innocent of that particular crime. Indeed, the defendant is Borginian. He does meet the basic requirements to be the accomplice. But what if it was in fact Lemire? It couldn't have been. Well, you seem sure of yourself. The reason is electronic signals, Your Honor. Electronic signals? Range of 30 feet. Beyond that, it's useless. Yes, that's true. Now think back to the testimony. When the shooter made his transmission, Lemire was in the air vent, right above the dressing room where the shooter stood. Let's look at the stage diagram. This is the area that the remote could reach from the air vent. Well, looking at this, it seems that Lemire still could have done the deed. No. When the shooter made the transmission, the stage was slightly different than shown here. It was in the middle of the guitar serenade. Part of the stage was raised. Prosecutor Gavin and the Lemire stand-in were in the air. They were on a tower which happens to be 15 feet tall. In other words, the remote couldn't have worked from Lemire's position in the air vent. Ah. Well, Detective Christian, what do you say to that? Your Honor? Yes, Detective? Could we see the video where Gavin's guitar burns? Just one more time. Well, I don't see why not. What? Don't tell me he has a way out of this. Ah, ha 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 ha. Too bad, so sad, punk. Punk? First you were sleeves, then kid, now punk. You're losing rank fast, Apollo. What exactly were we supposed to see in this video? The problem isn't in what we see, correct, Darian? Right, it's what you hear. We are musicians, after all. Care to explain for us non-musicians? Sure thing, punk. Let me get your yarn straight first. You're saying I ordered the Wii pianist to set off that igniter. That right? Yes. Well, in order to do that, he'd have to press a switch. Am I right? Okay. Well, take another listen. Pay attention to the piano. Piano? What seems to be the problem there? The piano sounded just fine. And that's the problem. Man, you still don't get it. Ah. Yeah, how's he supposed to hit that switch if he's playing? You've got Miss Diva, the guitar, the bass, the piano, and the drums. The only one with her hands free was the diva. A mirror? But according to you, she couldn't have been the accomplice, could she? Your accomplice would have had a hard time helping out if they couldn't even press a switch. The piano plays non-stop. He couldn't have pressed that switch. Well, Mr. Justice, the piano does seem to be playing when the guitar catches fire. Well, it's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes. Apollo, are you wrong? I can't be wrong. Everything makes perfect sense. How could it all just... strange? What's strange? No, it's just... something's odd about the performance there. Odd? Mr. Justice, if Maki Tobai didn't press that switch, then he could not be the accomplice you claim he is. But everything points to it. Every fact says he's the accomplice. You got the facts wrong, man. Here are some facts for you. Gavin's guitar is on fire, but the pianist didn't press that switch. In other words, your story is full of holes. Mr. Justice, let's hear your final opinion on this matter. Was the defendant, Maki Tobai, the accomplice? Your answer will reflect on everything you've said here. Give it some thought. Apollo, if Maki's not the accomplice, then our whole case is ruined. I know that. It has to be him. He was the only one who could have helped the smuggler. He had to have pressed that switch. Well, you better find a way to prove it. What do I do? There has to be something that doesn't fit. Something odd. Wait a second. What, you thought of something? What was Gavin saying just now? Something odd about the performance. It's not much to go on, but it's all I've got. What exactly did he hear that was odd? Have you come up with something, Mr. Justice? May I remind you that everything rests on this. Can you prove Maki Tobai pressed the switch? Let's hear your final answer. Can you prove that Maki Tobai pressed that switch? I guess we can. Let's try it out. I don't know if you call this proof per se, but I can prove it was possible. Then as prosecutor, it falls on me to ask you to show us evidence supporting this. Air Forehead, you're sure about this? Ha, accepted. There's no evidence, man. Let's see your evidence, Mr. Justice. On what do you base your claim the defendant pressed the switch? Okay. Well, he said it's something to do with the performance. Maybe we go to the sound mixer?
Right there.
Okay, so let's go back to... See, I think some of those are... What sounds like Dawn... Like... a lot of this is moving, but in that one part, he just plays that one note. I feel like he has time. Let's try it. The basis for my claim is music, Your Honor. Music? What about music? Let's listen to the piano part around the time when the switch was to be pressed, right before the guitar bursts into flame. I hear a piano being played. But doesn't it sound kind of simple? Simple? Ah, I think I know what he's suggesting. You think Maki could have played that part with one hand? One hand? He only needed one hand to press that switch. He could play the piano with the other. What, so you're some kind of piano savant? Or savant? Actually, no. Then what do you know? You can't play a part like that with one hand. Maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Wait, I know. Hey, Trucy. Yeah, you got something? Mr. Wright, your father, he's a pianist. Could he... Oh, Daddy? He couldn't play a part like that even if he had three hands. So sorry, so sad for you. No, not really. Huh? That was just the easy way to prove it. There's always the hard way. Man, how are you going to prove whether he played it with one hand or two? You can't. I admit it will be rather difficult to prove, but it's highly likely he was playing with one hand. How do you know that? The clue is what Prosecutor Gavin described as sounding odd. What sounded odd? I bet we can tell by listening to a certain part of the song. No way. Well, it seems we've come to the moment of truth at last. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say for himself. Show us the part that proves the defendant was playing with one hand, right before the guitar burst into flame. Maki was definitely playing one-handed just before the guitar caught fire, and one section of the song proves it. Yeah. Yeah, bass. And then it picks up, and here he's definitely treble and bass. Okay, so it's what we thought before. That's the section? I'm afraid I don't hear it. What's your opinion as an artist, Prosecutor Gavin? It's a beautiful song, and the lyrics are outstanding. I'll take that to mean there isn't a problem with this section at all. Wait, what was odd? The odd thing that Gavin heard. The switch was pressed in the first half of the second verse, right? I know, I just need to find a place to compare to that. Your Honor, if you'll give me one more chance, I think I can find it. I suppose we don't have a choice. Very well. Show us the part that proves it. Oh, okay, so maybe the next section.
Hey! Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't the third section?
The first?
I mean, this sounds more complicated. So, I guess it's this one? No? Well, there's only one more section left. Prosecutor Gavin, I'm sure you've realized by now just what it was that sounded odd to you. As I'm sure you've realized it yourself, Air Forehead. Realize what? I'll demonstrate. Let's listen to the part in question again, shall we? Pay particular attention to the but a fleeting melody phrase. Man, how many times do we have to listen to the same damn thing? Oh, he just did the same thing. Whoops.
I was thinking damn thing too. Damn thing.
You're right, enough of that. Now let's listen to another section, shall we? Another section. The guitar bursts into flame at the end of the second verse. Let's listen to the same spot in the first verse. Pay attention to "Oh, that night in your embrace." Ah, play verse 2 again. Yeah, because he just does bum. There, did you hear that? They feel the same, true, but they're clearly very different. What? Well put, Your Honor. The phrase in verse 2 is quite simple, but the same phrase in verse 1 has high and low notes. You have to use two hands to play that for sure. Ah. Ha. What's that prove? I would think you know that by now. This is why I hate dealing with amateurs, man. So the two verses have different arrangements. Happens all the time. Not this time, Darian. There's no point in changing an arrangement if you can't hear it clearly. And that wasn't the point. I had him play specifically so that the piano would stay in the background. Oh. That was what I noticed. Why should the same phrase sound slightly different, I asked myself. Now ask yourself why Maki changed how he played, and there's only one answer. He needed a free hand in order to press the switch. Order. I believe this ties all the facts together. Well, Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, quite, though personally this comes as a terrible disappointment. Heh. What, no comeback? I can't believe it. I finally did it. I shut him up. Very well, barring an objection from the prosecution, I will now state the court's opinion on this matter. Heh. One last trick up the sleeve, huh? Wow. Good show, Sleeves. No, great show. It's not over. I don't like when he looks so happy. You tell him, Gavin. Tell him what's so disappointing. Personally, I'm terribly disappointed in you, Air Forehead. Huh? Me? Yes, don't get me wrong, your case is solid. The facts all check out, but even now, you have yet to show us a single piece of decisive evidence. Yeah, but the facts, anyone can see it was him. Unfortunately, anyone does not include the law. I'm afraid your case doesn't cut it. But 1,000 facts might point toward the same conclusion. But without decisive evidence, it's not proof. That's the rule under our current legal system. I don't believe it. It does not seem as though the defense has any more evidence to present. Oh, I think if you did, we already would have seen it a long ways back. It is unfortunate, but at present, this court is unable to acknowledge your accusation. What? It seems like the burden of proof is a lot higher on us. The truth is staring us all right in the face. Why can't they just see it? What's the point of a legal system that protects criminals? Apollo, remember what Daddy said. It won't be easy proving he did it, especially not under the current court system. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. And be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Ugh. Every man has an igniter inside him. Find Darian Krishen's igniter and set it off. I wonder what he meant by every man's igniter. I think he just meant a weak spot, no? The kind of thing that a single spark would turn into a wildfire of emotion. I won't be able to press him further by conventional means. I've got to find a weak spot in this guy, something fatal. So, can I get back to work now or what? It may look like I got a lot of time on my hands, but I got no more time to play pretend with this deadweight attorney. Well, Mr. Justice, we've come this far without decisive evidence. This witness won't be coming back to the stand once we let him go. Every man has an igniter. Ah, didn't you say the better the guitar, the brighter it burns, Prosecutor Gavin? Ah, yes, good guitars are kept dry is why. That provides the best sound. Even a small spark could cause irreparable damage. Your plan has an igniter in it too, Detective. It was there from the very beginning. What? Fighting time, Justice. If you blow this one, he'll be out of your hands for good. Go for it, Apollo. What, and this igniter is supposed to come burn me up? That's almost poetic there, Mr. Attorney. All the better, I'm rather fond of poetry. And I intend to hear this one through to the very end. Air Forehead, you are accusing this man, Darian Crescent, of 2 crimes. The murder of Mr. Lettuce and the smuggling of a Borginian cocoon. This is your last chance to prove your case.
It has run on far too long.
For you? Well, we're almost done. Mr. Justice, this will be my last warning. The moment this igniter of yours turns out to be a dud, is the moment this cross-examination ends. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Then let's have it. Show us the basis for these accusations against Darian Crescent. Okay, this is really my last chance. The key that will take Darian Crescent's plan is...
Is it call a witness?
Yeah, because we can't conventionally... I think it's saying that evidence would be conventional. We've used it. Call a witness. Your igniter isn't a piece of evidence. So what is? It is true that I couldn't show decisive evidence, but perhaps what I needed to prove my case was something else. You mean a witness? Proving his guilt is a tall order, but I've got just the person to do it. Very well, Mr. Justice. Who is this person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt?
Maki?
Maki? Is it Valent? Is it Emma?
I think it's Maki.
Let's try. I mean, he's supposed to be the smuggler. The one person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt is the defendant, Maki Tobai. Your client again? Maki Tobai was an accomplice to the cocoon smuggling plot. Without him, Darian Crescent could not have gotten the cocoon. Furthermore, he can easily prove that the one who plotted to smuggle the cocoon is the real criminal in this case. How so? It would require just one of the very cocoons Mr. Lettuce was looking for. With the cooperation of the Republic of Borginia, we could burn a cocoon. The burnt cocoon would leave a particular residue. A residue we would no doubt also find inside the burnt-out guitar. Aha, very scientific of you. Thus, if Maki Tobai acknowledges his agreement with Darian Crescent concerning the attempted smuggling of a Borginian cocoon, the case is solved. Darian's laughing again. Your unrelenting passion is remarkable. You really want to get me, don't you? Too bad you'll never be able to. Why not? The little key tickler won't acknowledge anything. Especially not anything to do with cocoon smuggling. What's this all about? Taking a cocoon out of the country means death. By Borginian law. Ah. Yeah, see? If our Pandas really was a smuggler, then testifying about it would be suicide. Believe me, he's not talking. But you're wrong, Detective Crescent. What? It's the other way around. If Maki doesn't admit to smuggling here, he's in deep trouble. Huh? How? Look, if Maki admits to smuggling here, then he'll be tried in our courts by our laws. You don't get the death penalty for smuggling in our country. Ah, the victim in this case was an undercover Interpol agent. I'm sure the news has already reached Borginia, and they'll likely broadcast our dealings in court today, including the part about the Borginian cocoon. Yeah, but... But if Maki doesn't admit to smuggling now, he'll eventually be picked up by the Burgundian police. And it's not like he's in any danger in our court. We're not going to find him guilty of murder here, not now. Yeah, but you can't do this. You can't accuse me. Maybe the law doesn't allow it. But who's going to think you're really innocent after hearing this trial? The same goes for Maki Tobai. The cocoon smuggling your entire plan, Maki Tobai knows everything. There's only one way out of it for him, and that's to acknowledge his own crime. The crime of cocoon smuggling. Heh. Don't worry there. I'll get you out of the country. I'll set you up someplace, a hidden mansion, real nice. You want a house made out of cookies? Or no, a house made out of pianos? Come on. Please don't talk. Darian, I consider that my last session with you. We rocked. I'm guessing we can treat that outburst as a confession? Heh, 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 heh. Uh-oh, he's laughing again. There's a kind of sick desperation in it now, though.
Was he a shark when he was freaking out?
His hair had a mind of his own, it looked like. Well, have you been listening to today's trial? Yes. And you'll talk. You tell the court... You tell this court everything. I didn't want it to turn out this way. But I'm not the kind of lawyer that can overlook a crime. Today's trial was all for your benefit, you know. I see no reason why you should hesitate now. I knew from the beginning I knew. Maki. Situation I cannot explain, but money I needed. Very much money. Today's trial raises a delicate issue with our legal system. The only thing definite in a court of law is evidence. This is the golden rule. However, it has become apparent that all things can be tried by this standard. Should another case of this sort surface, we may have to consider an alternate system by which to administer justice. Anyway, Mr. Maki Tobai, yes, I promise you will receive a fair trial by the laws of our country. And with regards to the current charges for the murder of Mr. Lettuce, this court is prepared to announce a verdict. I thank you. I only lie, but you see truth. You find truth. That's our job. Very well. This court finds the defendant Maki Tobai. Court is adjourned. We broke him! Woot woot! Let it be known, since there's no video, you shook your fist into the air.
Yes.
In triumph. I wonder what will happen to Maki. Well, he did smuggle a cocoon out of Borginia. I guess there'll be another trial here. All's well that ends well. Daddy! I owe you both my thanks. The mirror? My, is something wrong? I'm sorry, Maki was your partner on stage, your friend. Yes, I thought of him as my own son. Even now I do, yet... Something got a hold of him, something evil. I see that. And he must pay for what he has done. Is that not how it should be? I'm still sorry. Do not be sorry. You have given me courage. Courage? I am considering an eye operation. It was my suggestion, actually. You mean you'll be able to see again? It's funny, I have always been afraid of the light. Light seems so harsh, so unforgiving. According to the doctor, the mirror lost her sight due to some kind of accident. An accident? As you know, I suffer from amnesia. I feared that if I could see, perhaps it would open my eyes to the truth I've been running from. I was scared. You know what changed her mind? hearing your defense in there today. She could feel your gaze unwavering, always looking straight at the truth. As the light returns to my eyes, I think I will take up painting. Painting? That's right! She's the landscape painter in sound, after all! I will paint the two of you, I promise. Woohoo! I can't wait, Lemire. I owe you my thanks too, Apollo. Thanks, Mr. Wright, but for what? You reminded me I need to hurry things along. On my secret mission, that is. Right, your secret mission. Apollo, Trucy, I hope that we will meet again someday soon. You bet, me too. And so, like a ballad, the trial flowed on and on until it came to an end. Thanks to the trial, the Guitar Serenade was a huge hit. Prosecutor Gavin's even more dazzling to look at now. But there's something I want to say to that guy. Next time you write a ballad, have them catch the killer at the end. Look at you dancing. Save the progress. Only gonna watch the opening movie, not gonna go a second further, okay? Just to get our curiosity going. Turnabout Succession, the final case. And that is the whole truth of this case.
Why is everybody getting shot?
In order to understand it myself, I had to know the story of these last 7 long years. Nothing happens by chance, all is connected. And now, you stand ready to begin the final chapter of this story. Will the defendant be found guilty or innocent? The decision is yours. Ooh.
Well, there was a lot going on there.
Lots going on. 7 years. The cards from the first case. Kristoff. What looked to be a circus or magicians.
And there was the girl with the blue hair.
Yep. Fallen down. Well, next time we play, we may uncover some of it.
Okay.
This was our longest session, but we had nowhere to be. So, oh my god!
Whoa.
3 hours?
We're sick. What do you expect?
I mean, honestly, yeah. But, hun, spending 3 hours doing some Apollo with you, sick, makes it a lot easier to swallow, I think.
I mean, I don't exactly feel the best, but I would either be sleeping or just sitting anyway.
Right.
We could have been reading a book, learning stuff.
But in a way we were reading. Like, you know how much you have to read in this game? It's called a visual novel. This is the genre.
Okay.
Like, this kind of game is called a visual novel. So technically, we read a book for 3 hours.
Well, look at us.
We're so awesome.